Still remember the night the prince fell. I remember his hand reaching for her, for the woman he loved more than life. And I remember the sword in her hand, the sword that ended it all. Love doesn't always save you. Sometimes it's what destroys everything. I was a young scribe back then, barely 16. I saw things the elders still whisper about. This is the truth of what happened between Queen Nadira of Nubia and Prince Kamet of Egypt. Nadira was unlike anyone we had ever seen. She was beautiful, yes, skin like deep river clay, eyes sharp as hawk feathers. But it was her spirit that made people stop and stare. She didn't bow, she didn't smile unless she meant it. When she entered Egypt's royal court, even the statues seemed to lean toward her. She came with a message of peace. Nubia was strong, rich with gold and soldiers. Egypt wanted that power, badly. Pharaoh Neserka thought he was clever. He would marry his son, Prince Kamet, to Nadira. A wedding would tie Nubia to Egypt forever. But they didn't plan on real love. At first, the court only saw strategy. But we, the ones in the shadows, saw the stolen glances. The way Prince Kamet's voice softened when he spoke to her. The way Nadira's laughter, rare and deep, echoed across the marble halls. I once saw them in the garden, not touching, not even speaking, just sitting close enough for their shoulders to almost brush. The prince looked at her like she was the whole sun and stars. And for a while, she looked back at him the same way. They tried to keep it secret. They tried to tell themselves it was duty, nothing more. But love doesn't listen to plans. There were nights when Nadira would sneak out to the river. Kamet would be waiting, hidden in the reeds. I watched once from behind a pillar. He would take her hand, press it to his heart, whisper things only meant for her ears. It was real. It was the kind of love that could have built empires or burned them to the ground. But Egypt never loved Nubia the way Kamet loved Nadira. Behind closed doors, Pharaoh Neserka made his real plan clear. Once the marriage was sealed, Egypt would take Nubia's gold, Nubia's warriors. Nubia would be just another piece of Egypt's empire. Word reached Nadira. Maybe it was a servant who whispered it. Maybe she already knew, deep down. All I know is, the next time I saw her with Prince Kamet, something had changed. Her smile was sad. Her touch lingered longer, like she was memorizing him. The wedding was set for the next full moon. The palace buzzed with excitement. Decorations went up. Musicians practiced. But under it all, there was a tension in the air, like a storm waiting just beyond the mountains. The night before the wedding, Nadira asked to see Kamet alone. They met in the sacred gardens, under the sycamore trees. I should not have been there, but curiosity is a heavy thing for a young boy. I hid among the leaves and watched. She wore a simple white robe, no jewels, no crown. He wore his finest clothes, but his eyes were only on her. They didn't speak at first. They just stood there, staring at each other, like two cliffs with a sea raging between them. Finally, she reached for him. He pulled her into his arms, held her so tightly, like he could hold time still. "Run away with me," he said. "Forget Egypt. Forget Nubia. Just you and me." For a moment, I thought she might say yes. Her hand trembled against his chest. But then she pulled away. Her face was full of love and pain. So much pain. "I love you," she said. But I love my people more. Before he could speak, before he could beg, she drew a dagger from her robe, Nubian steel, dark as night, and drove it into his heart. He gasped, not in anger, not in fear, but in sorrow. He fell to his knees, still reaching for her. She knelt beside him, cradled his head in her lap, kissed his forehead. Tears fell from her eyes and splashed onto his skin. "Forgive me," she whispered. He smiled, just a little, and then he was gone. The palace guards rushed in, but Nadira stood tall, blood staining her white robe. She did not run. She did not beg. She handed them the dagger and said only, "Tell Pharaoh, Nubia bows to no king." Nadira was imprisoned, of course, but Egypt could not kill her. Her people were waiting at the border with swords drawn. In the end, Egypt had no choice but to let her go. She returned to Nubia, her heart shattered, but her crown unbroken. And Egypt, without Prince Kamet, Pharaoh Neserka's line weakened. The royal family fell into chaos. Within a few generations, Egypt's throne changed hands, and the old bloodline was lost forever. I am an old man now, but when I close my eyes, I still see them. The prince, full of hope. The queen, full of sorrow. Two hearts that loved too deeply to survive in a world ruled by greed. Love didn't save them, but maybe, just maybe, it saved the people. And that is the story of Queen Nadira, the Black Queen who broke Egypt's royal line.